Part 1. Joline the Brat. I was born on February 21, 1994. My parents are Mason Jong and Julie Cesar Villanea. From the day that I was born to the day that I turned 5 years old, my parents and I lived with my grandparents. I was the first grandchild in the house, so all of my grandparents' attention were on me. Back then, I always get what I want. Maybe that's an advantage when you're the first child and the only kid in your house. Everyone will give you whatever you want. So basically, I was spoiled by my parents, my titos, my titas, my grandpa, and my grandma. I became a brat. I cried whenever I don't get what I want, and I go wild when someone gets in my way. Anyway, I studied preschool at Casa de Bambini. It's just actually inside the village, and it's a block away from the house. I love that school. You know why? Because every time a person celebrates her birthday, all of the students from prep to nursery celebrates it with you. And you know what's more awesome? Everyone gives you a present, even if they don't know you at all. I had a nice childhood. But every good thing comes to an end, right? This brings us to part 2, Joline the Understanding. On October 28, 1998, when I was 4 years old, my mother gave birth to my sister Nina. She was born with a disease called post-meningitis and hydrocephalus. It's a disease where your head grows really big as Mojo Jojo's head. Basically, my family spent a lot for my sister's medication. Because of that, my parents didn't spend too much money anymore, and I was given lesser attention. But it was okay. Even with a little knowledge about what was happening, I understood that I couldn't get what I wanted anymore right away. In 2000, the doctor recommended my parents to move to Dumaguete because unlike here in Manila, there was no pollution and traffic jams there. My sister at the time has seizures every month, and so we need to stay in a place where the environment's good and we're near the hospitals. When we moved in Dumaguete, I really had a difficult time adjusting to things. Life in Manila was great. We have cars, air conditions, and so on. But in Dumaguete that time, we had none. There were no big malls you can go to, there were no taxis, and worst of all, everyone speaks in a different language, and I couldn't understand a thing. In 2001, my dad went back to Manila because he couldn't get a job there. I also continued preschool that year in Silliman University Early Childhood. I was actually always bullied in my class. I don't know why. Maybe because I wasn't a native speaker. When I was 7 years old, I started looking up my mom's mother, Mama Bev. She's a very neat person. She always wants everything to be organized, and she is very kind to our neighbors. She's also a good storyteller. Part 3. Joline the Extrovert. When I reached my last year in elementary, I started having barcadas. Then, I started going home late and sleeping over at a friend's house. It became worse when I started at high school. Almost every night after class, my friends and I would go to places and have fun. And take note, these friends are mostly from the higher years. Luckily, I grew out of drinking, nightlife, and the endless parties. When I was in 3rd year and 4th year, I met teachers that I know I will never forget. And after that, we'll move on to part 4, Joline the Responsible. A few months before I graduated high school, my grandmother died. My mother was away and my father was in Manila. So I had to take care of my sister. I had to take care of the house. I was the one who makes the food budget and the one who's in charge of the household. It was a great experience. It taught me how to be responsible and independent. When I reached college, my perspective in life changed. I started asking questions like, will I ever land a job after I finish college? Those questions never occurred to me back when I was in high school. Because back then, all I cared about was receiving my allowance. I started becoming mature. I started becoming more practical. So I took up physical therapy. That was actually my first course before I came here in Benilde. I gave up anyways. PT was just not my thing. A few months after my first college sem break, Daddy told me he was gonna take me and my sister back to Manila. He said that Mom and him agreed that we will move back. So last December 2011, I went back here. And the last part 5, Joline the Determined. On February 21, 2012, I celebrated my 18th birthday. It wasn't a grand celebration. I didn't even know my family planned to give me a party. It was held in our garage. The cake wasn't that big. I had lechon. My guests were only family, but it was the best. I had my 18 dances, 18 candles, and 18 shots with my family. When I was accepted in Benilde on April 2012, I became determined to do my best. Since I'm taking a course that I want to pursue, I'll strive hard to have a great job after I graduate. I don't know what the next chapter of my life will be, but I'm sure I will know what to do and how to handle it because I've already went through a lot.